At 6:03, I call the City of Lawrence Police Merit Board Commission to order. Bob, lead us in the pledge, please.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Okay, determination of quorum. We do have a quorum. We have 4 members present, 1 present via Zoom. So we are in great shape. We have a full committee. Comments or commission members? Bob, do you have anything before the commission?
No.
Karen?
Nope.
Gail?
No.
Robert?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sirs, ma'ams. At this point, as I stated earlier, we have 2 sets of minutes, one from April 19th, 2021, and April 23rd, 2021. Do we have any discussions or corrections on either of those minutes? None being done, I will take a motion to accept both minutes as approved.
I motion to accept both.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Because we do have electronics present, we have to do a roll call vote. So call the vote, please.
Commissioner Crouch,
Robert? Oh, no.
He got signed off. I'm not sure how.
We just lost Robert. Okay, we still have a quorum, so we'll continue on. Bob?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
oh, you're going to do it.
Gail?
Aye.
And myself, aye. If Robert gets reconnected, we will entertain him for the rest of the meeting. Unfinished business, unless something new has come about, we have none. So we will move to the new business. Captain Schneider?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
So we're looking for the first part to finding the minimum passing standards for the oral interview, which is recommended by Director Amy Emerson. And she's recommending that 67.003% be the cutoff, which would leave us applicants, a number of applicants. So that's what the department is also recommending, is based off of theirs, a 67.003% as the cutoff.
Okay.
Down as a-
Erica, may I interrupt you just for one moment? Bob,
Sure.
do we have you back? We see you here.
See his picture, it says he's on it. Should be on it.
He's
Robert,
muted,
you
though.
on?
Robert?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, the call dropped.
Okay.
Want him to approve
Yeah.
the
Would you
minutes?
like to vote on approving the minutes of the 19th and the 23rd, sir?
Aye on both.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's some of the adapting we have to do with this technology, folks. Make everybody feel it. All right, so before us, Captain Snyder is wishing to hear a motion to create the minimum passing standards for this oral exam for 67.003%, which means applicants 31 and above would be moving on to the next phase. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
Rika, can you just elaborate just a little bit on the drop? I know that you did it because IPSB says that should work. But I'd like to be able to, at some time in the future, find out if those that are below the 70 percentile actually did well enough to go on with the program.
So what we were discussing earlier is actually the cutoff was for the written exam. That was what we had done in previous years. It had nothing to do with the oral exam. The written is where we went to the average marker. And this year, Amy went ahead and did that as a result of our last process. Instead of just making above standard, she just made it the standard. So it never affected the oral interview results, so to speak.
Okay, I understand that. Okay, it's just that always before in life, 70 percentile was the failure level, even with us. There is some older time. So I just wanted to see if you, in running this show on this particular thing, made sure that that's not going to cause us problems if we go forward with it, Because the next time, if they want to go to 50, because Amy said so,
Right. So if we go back to the letter that she has written to us, they do the mathematical equations to it and how they come up to the scoring of it. And if there's a standard deviation, they also add into account for the standard error of measurement into there, all of which is above anything that I've had to ever do as a police officer. Therefore, that's why I probably make what I make versus what they make. So these are the things that she describes in her letter and why it's a cutoff and determining that and how they would be able to testify as to why they are the qualified group using that standard method.
okay, I just
And-
hate to go back.
I totally understand where
Yeah.
you're coming from, Bob, but this is just for the oral section.
Right, I understand.
Where before, like she was saying, the written was at a different level. Instead, I believe if I understand the interpretation from the testing facility properly, everything's being, and by the spreadsheet, obviously, also, everything's being done, where we've done kind of a grouping before, if this is our overall cutoff, we're now looking at each section's got a different cutoff. And based upon, I believe, Captain, I believe it was like 11 point something.
There
and
was
then
11, yes.
A 6.7 on her deviation and her error, if I remember the
Yep.
letter correctly.
Yeah, 11.951.
So they're taking all these things into account and to give the ranking just for the oral. That's all we're certifying right now. And now, to the second part of Bob's question, he was wondering, if I may, if I'm not speaking out of turn, if I may, he was wondering if there's any way to track anybody that was under the 70% in this process, that after the process is finished, the hirings are done, is there any way to track whether these people that were in this 67.003% or above?
So the lowest score that we have in the oral interview is a 68.333.
Okay,
And we have the number 30 spot was a 69.630. Everybody else is 72 or better, 72% or better.
so we're talking 2 people?
Yes.
7 or 8 people. Or maybe I got the wrong piece of paper.
No, I'm just trying to clarify. I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me.
I've got, oh, these are the written.
And I'm not opposed to what's being said. I don't know how to justify the difference without having Amy on here. That's why we hire their company, because they're able to explain all of this.
Okay,
Now, Bob, is it a matter of,
I just
your
want,
discomfort a matter of just this section being lower than 70, or?
Yeah,
I mean, I could totally understand if the whole thing was, if we said anybody 67, I could understand where you're coming from. But I want you to be satisfied in your vote tonight that you feel comfortable moving this forward.
I feel comfortable in as much as that's the situation. I just want to see if we can do grounding on this so that in the future, we can justify it outside of just IPSP saying that's what we should go with. And if we get into a problem with this later on, the public school system says 70 is the cut, so, on everything. So they don't judge it below that. Erica, are we going to go CALIA sooner or later?
I don't foresee that happening. There hasn't been talks about that, at least within the last 6 years, so I would suggest no at this point.
Okay. In other words, you're on your own, because CALIA would be I was a CALIA officer. So if CALIA would back you in 70 and above, but they won't back you if you drop below their standards, and their standards are 70.
If you would, Bob, I don't want to get into a long discussion, but if you could briefly explain what CALIA is for members that don't
It's an
know.
organization of professionalized police standards. and you have to meet their standards, and pretty much across the country, IPD has gone CALIA. I tried to do it and finally got the sheriffs to do it, but the bottom line was they changed and went to a jail or a correction system. And although they have the same thing in their half, it's not the same as it was. So I think we're reaching out here, and I'm questioning something that I probably didn't come prepared to talk about to the depth that we've dropped below 70. Maybe I should, and I will vote for below 70. That's not a problem. It's just that I just wanted to see if there was some way that we could track that so that we in the future don't drop below 70 just because an organization that is doing the background on this is the one who is setting the standard at below 70. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Captain
Yes, and we,
Snyder, would that be
we keep
something?
everything.
I'm sorry, repeat
And they
that.
also do. And I can have Amy come to our next meeting. And if you want to be able to ask all these questions, I could have had her come to this one, but I'm sorry, I didn't know that I needed to. But I can ask her to come to the next one. And if it's more comfortable to, obviously the Merit Commission can make that line, the minimum standards right now. And we can make it at 70 if that's what the board so chooses. This is her recommendation is what's qualified. Again, we're going to go off of what the Merit Commission ultimately votes for. So it's two people that would be eliminated from an additional two people to the already 6 substandards. So it'd be a total of 8 substandard.
Captain Snyder, 2 questions for you, ma'am. One, in the
Okay.
overall picture of this, is this something that, as you stated, you might be able to get Amy to come to at our next meeting, or we can have further discussions? So because I think you would agree, and Bob would agree, and Karen and Gail and Robert, the testing procedures and the practices that we have done since I've been here, since 2016 to now, there was a couple that were identical, and then all of a sudden we started making leaps and bounds and changes in the way they're doing the testing. The way they're doing the testing, the analyzation of the testing is really different from 2016 to now. Maybe we need to have, definitely move forward with this, but definitely either some literature or some discussion so we're up to date with the changes that are being made. Because, I'm like Bob, 70 was kind of always the number in my head. I remember on one of these votes, I asked it for 71 because when I started analyzing the data, we were making a big jump between 70 and 71. I think it was my first term with you, and I made that suggestion. But on this one, like I said, after doing the math, reading everything, I understood what they were trying to do, and I felt very comfortable with her recommendation because it's not the old, you get 5 officers that are on light duty, you stick them in a room with a list of 10 questions and see if the guy answers it with certain keywords, and based on the keywords, he gets certain points. It's much more analytical, it's much more in-depth now than the way it used to be. So if we can maybe work on any members, committee members that have, commission members, excuse me, that have questions, get your questions to me. I'll get them to the captain. Captain can get them to Amy, and we can bring them up for discussion at our next meeting. Because the main thing is we all have to be comfortable and confident in the decisions that we make. And, at this point, I think that's going to be the only way to kind of get up to standards. Would that be satisfactory with you, Bob, if we work on it that way and just not let it be a dead situation?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to pass because the board has already indicated that they're okay with that. I just question that portion of it.
Oh,
I'd like to find
I totally
why
agree.
they went against every board that I've ever sat on. I sat on a few. In fact, a lot of those boards were that way, where
Exactly.
we have keywords that they had to hit so that they get points, but and that was kind of ludicrous in some respect. I don't have any problem with that
Is that acceptable with you, Captain Snyder, to provide that information if we provide you questions?
Yeah, that would be perfect. If you guys want to get those questions to me, I can send them off to her. And the other thing I can do is read verbatim what her letter says, which explains in great detail as to why they break it down. So
Would
it
that-
wouldn't just be because Amy said so. She's able to provide the supporting documentation as to why that is the qualified grouping.
Does anybody on the commission like to hear that? Robert?
I don't think I need to.
Gail?
Don't need to.
Karen?
Oh, I've got it in front of me, thank you.
Bob, you're okay with it? Okay. All right, with that then, any further discussion? None being, I will entertain a motion to accept the minimum passing standards for just the oral interview to be the cutoff of 67.003%, indicating applicants 31 and above will move on. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
I have one. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a first and a second. We will now call a roll vote. Robert?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Bob?
I'll vote aye.
Thank you, sir. And I say aye also, so it approves unanimously. The second motion that Captain Snyder has before us is filing of the oral interview results. Do you have any further comments or discussion, Captain?
I do not. The only thing I wanted to state was that there were 31 that were in the qualified group and 6 that were substandard. We had one that was late to his interview and asked to remove himself from the interview process. We had 1 no-show, and then we had 4 withdrawals.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any discussion on motion B? If none appearing, I will entertain a motion to file the oral interview results.
So moved.
I have a first, or I have a second?
Second.
I have 2 seconds. That's great. Now we'll call the vote. Robert?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Motion B passes also. All right. Captain, if you know, I know the chief's not here. Did he give you any comments, or you have any comments, ma'am?
He did not, other than just thanking you guys again for holding another special meeting for us to move forward in our process.
Not a problem, ma'am. At this point, our next scheduled meeting is June 14th. Are you aware from command staff or yourself if anything at this point will be presented at that date?
I'm not aware of anything pressing, no.
Okay. That being, we will wait till Friday. If nothing is presented, we will cancel the meeting for the 14th. Then our next scheduled meeting will be July 12th, 2020. Captain Snyder was kind enough to give us a heads up that coming in September, a special meeting will need to be called prior to our scheduled meeting. We appreciate that advance heads up. It gives us time to work on getting a room and everything. I will be revisiting that discussion with her before the August 9th meeting. So at August 9th meeting, I will present the date and the time of the special meeting that will occur in September. And that will be sometime before the 9th, because she has to present to the Board of Works our recommendation on the 9th. So that's just something, like I said, heads up to y'all that we'll be getting a notice about. But you know me, I like to plan ahead so we can, not everything's an emergency. With that, any further comments from any commission members? None being, we stand adjourned at 6:22 p.m. Thank you.